Flames come and take all the darkness away. Light shines and makes its own way. This is the festival where the truth wins. Let's together work for a brighter future with our heads high and our chins. It's a time to become aware of our power and celebrate the divinity within us.
With this, a heartfelt welcome to all the parents, dignitaries, and students present in this virtual celebration on the auspicious occasion of the Shera. I am Apurv, along with my co-host Anvesha, here to present an exquisite presentation.
मैं प्रेरणा त्रिपाठी एवं मेरी सहसंचालिका आन्या आप सभी को सादर प्रणाम करते हैं। इस वर्ष हम सत्य व विजय के प्रतीक के रूप में पावन पर्व विजयादशमी को ऊर्जा दी पावर विदिन के नाम से मना रहे हैं। इस 2 दिवसीय कार्यक्रम में हम आप सभी का स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं।
किसी भी कार्य को करने हेतु हमें ऊर्जा की आवश्यकता होती है और यह ऊर्जा हमारे अंदर ही निहित है, जिसे हम आत्मिक ऊर्जा कहते हैं। अब यह हमारे ऊपर निर्भर है कि उस ऊर्जा को हम सात्विक कार्यों में लगाते हैं या तामसिक। हम सुनते आ रहे हैं कि जब जब नकारात्मक ऊर्जा बढ़ेगी, तब तब इसे समाप्त करने के लिए शक्ति का आवाहन किया जाएगा। आज के समय में इसकी प्रासंगिकता अधिक है। विश्व भर में भ्रष्टाचार, अनाचार और अन्याय हो रहे हैं। नकारात्मक क्रियाएं चरम पर हैं। सात्विक गुण या तामसिक अवगुण हमारे अंदर संस्कार के रूप में है और हमें आत्मविश्लेषण द्वारा इसे समझते हुए अवगुणों का त्याग एवं गुणों का वर्ण करना होगा।
Motion that makes our mind shift, a gesture which makes us realize the pain, an interpretation that persuades us to work for bringing out the change in the society.
That being said, I now invite Priyal to take over the charge for presenting the event of the day.
Shakti is something which comes from within. It cannot be obtained, nor can it be destroyed by any means. Those who possess it are identifiable through their deeds and actions. Keeping this very thought alive in our mind, let us move to the event which follows the very same theme in its core. Yes, it is the much awaited performative reading, Invoking Shakti. India is that sacred land of those brave hearts who have dared to dream, who have gone against all the odds of the society, shattered all blind conventions, and have become wind beneath the wings of many. It is but a sweet serendipity that this endeavor of the glowing sunbeams to pay homage to such towering personalities coincides with the crucial day of Navratri, a time when the goodness of human soul is triumphantly celebrated. So without much ado, let me invite Shambhavi to take the event forward and weave her magic of narration to take us across the epochs of Indian history.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Good evening and Jai Hind, all the respected dignitaries, teachers, and my friends. On this auspicious day of Mahashashti of Navaratri, the day when Goddess Durga, the Adi Shakti, is invoked, let me take you to the pages of Indian history. Let us imagine some wonderfully brave Indians who stood before us against the prevalent dogmatic ideologies of their time and took the process of women empowerment one step ahead. Today, my fellow sunbeams have donned the garbs of 5 trailblazers who have seen the challenges eye to eye and have surmounted them. they would feel privileged to narrate before you the tales of those legends who broke the barriers of the patriarchal society that subjugate, dominates, brutalizes women, and sideline them as being subservient to their male counterparts. Savitribai Phule, the first female teacher of the first women's school in India, is a pioneering figure. She relentlessly fought against the dominant caste system and worked towards the upliftment of the marginalized. She strongly spoke against the discriminatory boundaries imposed on women, which led to their oppression. By getting to know her better, by understanding her struggles and hardships, we will be looking into a life that not only changed the face of education in India forever, but also enlightened humanity in its real essence. So here I invoke Mother Savitribai.
I am considered as the first female teacher of India. I'm often regarded as someone who sowed the seeds of the concept of feminism in our country. I'm also a poet. I'm Savitribai Phule. Born in the year 1831 in Naigaon, Maharashtra, in a Mali community. I, too like the other girls of my times, was illiterate and was married to Jyotira Phule at the tender age of 9. After, but it was only after my marriage that my life completely changed. Jyotira helped in giving me primary education, and my further education was a result of the initiatives taken by his friends. After completing my teacher's education, I started teaching girls at Maharwada along with the revolutionary feminist Saguna Bai. And then we started our own school at Lewa. We did a lot for the upliftment of the compromised sections of our society. But did our efforts really come to its optimum fruition? Has a country been able to put all its citizens, irrespective of what their gender is or what caste they belong to, at par? These are the questions that we all need to vehemently ask our own selves. Caste system and this belief of considering women inferior prevailed in India right from the later Vedic period. Before the later Vedic period, that is in the early Rig Vedic period, women were considered pious and were treated at par with men in the society. But it did not remain so after that. I believe that a society can never develop and humanity would always be deprived of almost half of its energy if the women of our society are neglected. Even after 73 years of freedom, should we consider India independent? Even today, we get to hear about the incessant ill treatments and crimes happening against the women on an everyday basis. Our Indian culture has the strongest presence of the divine feminine among the major religions of the world. Yet, women are marginalized and their importance has been diminished. The father of our nation has built it. No two leaves are alike, and yet there is no antagonism between them or between branches on which they grow. I just believe in equality for all. Our present world demands for a system where men and women work in unison towards attaining harmony and parity. A societal setup where none is looked down upon or regarded as superior just because they happen to belong to a particular gender or caste. Today, I stand at the pedestal where my name is forever etched in the world of history. But could it have been possible had my husband, a man, not stood by me? Our very presence in this world has a profound purpose. And unless we strive towards achieving that, keeping the vain and the baseless concept of gender discrimination and caste system at bay, are we really justifying our existence? I believe that a gender sensitive and all inclusive societal mechanism is the need. So let us join our hands and stand united and treat every other fellow human with respect and empathy. Thank you.
O Mother Savitribai, The lamp of education that you lighted in us so many years earlier is enlightening millions of your daughters today. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, a great reformer, thinker, was much ahead of his times. He was a champion of women empowerment in the 18th century, an era which witnessed a decline in the value system and rise in the hierarchical hegemony. The law and order was in shambles. Moral values, social concerns were at their lowest, and the economy in chaos. It was a time in India when the whole country was drowned in many superstitions, dead and useless rituals, and caste, creed, and religious narrowness reigned supreme. It was his dynamism and towering erudition that made him the harbinger of fundamental reforms in the spheres of religion, society, politics, education. So here I invoke the man who caused the dawn to a new era of enlightenment and reawakening.
After every struggle, no matter how steep the slope, how hard the fight, or how insurmountable the zenith, right always triumphs strong. People call me Raja Ram Mohan Roy. I was born on May the 22nd in Bengal. I have been an avid traveler throughout my life and have had the fortune of learning some of the foreign languages like Persian and Arabic, along with various Indian indigenous ones like Sanskrit and Bengali. Although I am primarily known to have abolished the social evils of sati and child marriage, my endeavors into transforming the Indian society into a more liberal and enlightened one were not restricted to that. Also deemed the father of Indian Renaissance by my fellow citizens, I was the one who started the first Bengali weekly newspaper, Shambhat Kaumudi, in the year 1821. I was also a staunch advocate of introducing English schooling to India, as I believed that it would help the Indians keep pace with the rest of the world, or but also heighten their scientific temperament. Today, however, let me focus my attention on an issue that has been plaguing our social fabric for quite some time now. Women are as important a part of this society as their male counterparts, and without them, none of us would exist. But even then, they have been disparaged, disrespected, maligned, wronged for all eternity. The sati pratha was one such cruel practice that crept its way into society through the Brahmanas, who based it wrongly on the Hindu scripts. I called them out and exposed their cruelty to the world, upon which laws were passed and amendments were made, which resulted in the destruction of this practice. It was hard to fight my own family, my ma, but I was right and they were wrong. Even in today's world, though, I see my dream is not fully fulfilled yet. Women still fall prey to domestic abuse. Families still resort to the malicious practice of dowry. And innocent children are still being married off. You have made laws, yes, but have you gone to the grassroots levels and actually overseen the abolishment of these practices? Perhaps no. Had that been the case, the reality of our society as we know it, in terms of women's safety and rights, would have been different altogether. I fought for my country, for the people of India, against the entire East India Company. Even when my own nation had deserted me because I went overseas. You know why? Because the debt I owe to my nation, to Mother India, is so huge that I can never repay it. But at least I can remain truthful. I have seen that many of India's children are lured by the prospects of other nations and are using their skills for the development of those nations. I implore you, return to your motherland and serve her with all your might. But all is not in vain. You have, in fact, made a UN which oversees world peace. You have made the Geneva Rights, which protect the rights of each and every citizen across the globe. We have come a long way, but have a still longer way to go. We need more Raja Ram Mohan Roys, more Vidyasagars, and more Vivekanandas to cure the world. So, fellow children of Mother India, I would like to demand just two things from all of you: for the intelligent and sharp minds of India to come back and serve their motherland, to respect women and their rights all your lives. See in every woman your mother who nourished you and cared for you, because a society without them is as hollow and futile as a soulless man. So, I would like all of you to ask yourselves this one question: do you want to be part of a society which disparages, disrespects, maligns, wrongs women, which prescribes their happiness? Or do you want to be a part of a society which obviates their pain and fears, is happy, and has equality? Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next fighter we're going to bow our head towards needs no introduction. She is Rani Lakshmi Bai, the epitome of courage and bravery, the human incarnation of Shakti herself, the Queen of Jhansi. She was one of the first women freedom fighters of India who revolted against the British supremacy in the year 1857. Her courage was legendary. Her status was awe-inspiring. Each word penned by Subhadra Kumari Chauhan extolling her has been resonating deep in the hearts of Indians for centuries, and she has been the guiding angels for the Indian women who muster grit only by listening to her valorous tales. चमक उठी सन 57 की, वो तलवार पुरानी थी, बुंदेले हर बोलो के मुंह, हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी, वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी.
Indians regard me as Rani Lakshmi Bai, one of the leading figures of the 1857 War of Independence. Born on 19 November 1828 in the holy city of Varanasi as Manikarnika Tambe, I had already violated many of the expectations for women in India's androcentric society from childhood. I could ride a horse and I could wield the sword and the pen together. While those spirited ways invited scorn in some, they would prove to serve me well as I went on to leave an indelible mark on Indian history. Married to the Maharaja of Jhansi in 1842, following which I was rechristened as the one who represented the essence of the goddess within. We adopted our son and named him Damodar Rao. But after the death of the Maharaja, the British refused to acknowledge Damodar Rao as the legal heir to the throne of Jhansi, citing the doctrine of lapse. I refused, exclaiming, "Meri Jhansi nahi dungi," a Hindi phrase that to this day evokes the feelings of pride and patriotism. My ranged cavalry joined the Indian Rebellion of 1857 against the British in what is now known as India's first Battle of Independence. The Indian Mutiny had produced but one man, and the man was a woman. Such was my recognition. My life became a subject of competing nationalist narratives. Indians hailed me as a hero, the British as a wicked Jezebel-like figure. But somewhere between these portrayals, I emerged a symbol, not just of resistance, but of the complexities associated with being a powerful woman in India. In a way, I was considered singular, and I am singular, because I fought for the nation and for something larger than myself. By most accounts, I am an unconventional queen and a compassionate one. Wearing a turban, an accessory more common among men, I have trained and empowered women in my circle to be self-reliant warriors of life. Today, I have been immortalized in various ways. And after centuries of revolutions, struggle, and sacrifices, India finally achieved independence on 15 August 1947. Perhaps for the first and the only time in the world history, the power of the mighty global empire had been challenged and overcome by the moral might of the people. Women are one of the earliest forms of the Indic religion, remaining persistent in the worship of the goddess that manifest the universal neuter spirit, sometimes deified and sometimes objectified. When will the crusade emancipate Indian minds of gender bias? Think, rethink. It's only the thinking that needs a shift. Thank you so much.
Hail the amazing, hail the goddess. May your tribe live forever, looking into the eyes of doom and smiling scornfully before surmounting the nemesis. Once India achieved its political freedom and could assert its traditional principle vociferously in the world, Indian philosophy and learning met the Occidental modernism, and the world gaped in wonder and witnessed the meteoric rise of a Wonder Woman. Yes, I'm talking about Indra Nui. From being a confident teenager with starry dreams in the quaint neighborhood of Madras to being the chairperson and CEO of a multinational giant, her saga of success is far from being ordinary. Listed as one of the most powerful women ever in the world, she exudes the charisma of a successful woman who broke the barriers, near dismantled them, and yet remained grounded to her origin faithfully. So here I invite Mrs. Nui to enlighten us with her tale that inspired many.
The former chairperson and CEO of PepsiCo. I am better known as Indra Nui. I was ranked the second most powerful woman in the Forbes list of 2017, and also being in the board of directors of Amazon. I carry the baton that propels PepsiCo navigate through what's right for the business. That is, being responsive to the needs of the world. After leaving India, I had tremendous success in the meritocracy of United States. But none of that could have happened if I hadn't had a wonderful upbringing, very much here in India. My father and grandfather raised me to believe that my capabilities are boundless and that my confidence should never be tampered or apologized for. It has been one of the greatest joys in my life to watch my daughters grow with a similar kind of conviction. And it is not lost in me that their father, my husband, has played an instrumental role establishing this unwavering sense of self. I must say, fathers and father figures not only set the tone of what we expect of men, but also of what we expect of ourselves. You see, patriarchy and established but on the assumption that women can be full-time caregivers in addition to other full-time roles they hold as colleagues, as partners, or as caregivers to elderly parents. Such unconscious bias can have caustic effects on how women view their positions in the workplace. We need to better the ecosystem to support working women and caregivers. Having the opportunity to become a curious and ferocious leader should be universal for all. Women don't belong just on pedestals or on the sidelines or behind the accomplishments of others. Fighting. as long as the CEO in me surfaces. Compassionate capitalism and ecological sustainability ought to be our mantra for economic development today. Whether you work in sales, in corporations, or any other function, always have a clear and compelling vision of what you want to accomplish. Looking ahead, we'll continue to view the world through both a microscope and a telescope, focusing on most granular details like the number of women in management roles to higher ambitions of building work ethics. Thank you so much.
मुट्ठी में कुछ सपने लेकर भरकर जेबों में आशाएं दिल में है अरमान यही कुछ कर जाएं सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में दीपक सा जलता देखोगे सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में दीपक सा जलता देखोगे अपनी हद रोशन करने से तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है बंजर माटी में पलकर मैंने मृत्यु से जीवन खींचा है मैं पत्थर पे लिखी इबारत हूँ शीशे से कब तक तोड़ोगे मिटने वाला मैं नाम नहीं तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे With these words, I feel elated presenting before you one of the living examples of bravery, Sub-Lieutenant Shivangi Singh, the first female naval pilot of India. She is the first woman to fly a fighter jet in India. Her passion, her zeal, her resilience have persuaded her to make her a mark in essentially man's world. And the fact that she was a student of Sunbeam College for Women Bhagwanpur and has been my senior in the holy precinct of my institution inspires me treble.
A very good afternoon and Jai Hind everyone. I'm Shivangi Singh, an alumnus of Sunbeam College for Women, Bhagwanpur, and presently flight lieutenant for the Indian Air Force. I was recently honored with the opportunity to become the first female pilot of the IAF 17 Squadron, named Golden Arrows, which is composed of Rafale fighter pilots. On this auspicious occasion of Navratri, which marks the triumph of good over evil and celebrates the strength of women, I would like to share some of my experiences with you, with the hope that it may provide inspiration and enable you to achieve your own dreams. My father is currently the principal of a girls-only school, while my mother is a homemaker. This humble upbringing injected in me the lesson of being grounded and rooted to my culture. The desire to be of service to the nation has been my dream since childhood. It was during my school days that I saw a politician arrive in helicopter in my village. Ever since then, I have always dreamt of becoming a pilot. During a visit to the Delhi Air Base with my grandfather, I got an opportunity to interact with women fighter pilots and was further motivated towards my goal. I was aware that the path I had chosen for myself was not an easy one, and the challenges I would face would be manifold. Though my parents always had the words of encouragement for me and supported me in my decisions, it took an extraordinary amount of effort to convince them of my choice and allay their fears and concerns regarding my well-being. Once I had my parents' blessings, I set out on the path to achieving my childhood dream of becoming a fighter pilot. While pursuing graduation from Sunbeam College for Women, Bhagwanpur, I joined 7 UP Air Squadron NCC, following which I underwent training at the Air Force Academy in Telangana. In December 2019, I had the honor to become the first female pilot of the Indian Navy. This year, I was finally able to fulfill my dream when I was granted the privilege of becoming one of the only 10 female fighter pilots of the IAF. Our very culture is imbued with examples of women icons who are venerated as symbols of purity, strength, wealth, and education. And it gives immense amount of pleasure that I am the torch bearer of the greater cause of women empowerment in the modern times. I feel humbled that my tale of passion inspires millions of girls like me who wish to soar high in the firmament of success. Please know that the journey of life was never a bed of roses. You will make errors, you will tumble down, but learn how to break these barriers into smithereens. Carve your own niche. Hold your head always high. Don't let the society dictate you. Manifest the empress, the goddess that lies hidden within, and become a reason behind somebody else's smile. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
We wish you all the luck and success in your life, ma'am. Every individual of Sunbeam is proud of you. Go find yourself. Why are you responding? Go, even time is looking for your existence. The chains that cuff you, melt these chains and make them your holy flame of worship, but a fire of anger. Go find yourself. Why are you despondent? Go, even time is looking for your existence. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Anvesha, start speaking.
Thank you, Shambhavi and your team, for your excellent performative reading presentation. That indeed was wonderful.
Now I request, now I would take this beautiful opportunity to invite our Assistant Director, ma'am, who is known for being a beauty with brains.
Thank you so much. Well, this has been a revelation of sorts because, as usual, I did not know exactly what was going to transpire when I was invited for this event, but it's given me tremendous amount of happiness to witness what I did today. And right from the beginning, when the first compare read out the lines from my favorite poet, Maya Angelou, I knew we had a winner on our hands, and I was on the edge of my seat because the tone for the event had been rightfully set by those lines from Still I Rise. Um, I'm going to be a little, you know, personal here, and I'm going to share something with all of you. About 4 or 5 days back, I was a little upset and I was feeling very, very out of sorts. This was primarily because the first thing in the morning that I do when I get 5 minutes to myself is to go to my Insights news feed and check what the world has been up to while I was sleeping. And there was this, feature where they had put up a by the clock feature of some very, very depressive statistics. So I'm going to read them out to you. It says, by the clock, in India, a woman becomes a victim of, and then the statistics follow. Dowry deaths every 1 hour, 13 minutes. Gang rape and murder every 1 day and 6 hours. Rape every 16 minutes. Cruelty by husband or his relatives every 4 minutes. Acid attack every 2.3 days. Trafficking every 4 hours. Attempt to rape every 2 hours. This is a bona fide statistical data gathered by experts and by agencies who conduct such surveys. So none of the data has been manipulated. I woke up in the morning and I read it, and then I thought to myself, where are we today? What are we talking about? And is woman empowerment really just another euphemism that people toss out, when they are giving speeches. And when I talk about empowered women, and when I talk of gender equality, and when I talk to my students also, or when I talk to my fellow colleagues also, within the precincts of the Sunbeam schools and colleges, am I living in utopia here? What has changed? And you know what? Just when you are about to give up on humanity and your faith in it, something happens. So the same thing happened to me also. So out of this despondency of gloom and despair, there were back-to-back two incidences. And who else but a sunbeam can dispel the gloom of darkness? So I met this wonderful boy of the junior school of Sunbeam Bhagwanpur called Tejas. I'll take his name. I was interviewing them for the students' council, and we just got around to talking the way I talk to the students. And we just mentioned, I just asked him, I thought I'll throw him a curveball. And I said, look, Tejasvi, he said, I wanted to become an athlete and so on and so forth. And I said, yeah, men have to be strong and men have to be brave and men have to build up bodies and all that stuff is not for girls. What was really amazing was the outrage with which he turned on me and said, who said that, ma'am? So what, you don't know about Mary Kom? And I was just kind of riling him to test how long do these sentiments run within him. And sure enough, he put me at ease and he said, no, who says? I mean, look at, and he also, for that matter, quoted Shivangi and said, well, if she can fly a Rafale fighter plane, then who says that men and women aren't equal? And what are you talking about? I've never felt that, And I said, if you're going to grow up, and what if you think otherwise? He said, no, why should I? I don't think anything is going to change. Look around you, ma'am. He told me that. I said, okay. And then a couple of days later, in fact, just yesterday, I met this another gentleman of the same age, probably. He was a class 7 or a class 8 boy. This time I was interviewing the council heads for Sunbeam Indranagar. And I heard him introducing himself. And then as a part of the introduction, he said that one of his hobbies is cooking. So I said, here comes another chance to rile yet another gentleman. So I said, okay, so cooking, and what do you cook? So he said, well, I can bake a cake, I can make a sandwich, and, so many other things. So I was suitably impressed. And I said, but then cooking is for women, right? A man's place is not in the kitchen. What are you doing messing around the kitchen? And then he turns around and says who? When you go to the hotels, ma'am, don't you see the chefs? They're men. And I love cooking. It's a hobby for me. And I said, do you regularly help out your mom in the kitchen? He said, no, it's not about helping out. It's about carrying out my passion. I love doing this. Therefore, I do it. So like I said, just when you have given up on humanity, there comes a ray of light. There comes a sunbeam, to put it in slightly hyperbolic words. I feel so happy to know that the wheel is turning. It's a slow, a gradual, but definitely a perceptible turn. When boys of classes 6 and 7 and 8 do not consider, going into the kitchen and helping their moms and baking cakes and beating eggs and making souffles, and, it's not considered feminine or girly. Or when boys say that, why not? We have women boxers and we have women wrestlers and we have women flying jet planes. So what is the big deal? We are all individuals here. Then the relevance of an event like this becomes more credible. That is when you tell yourself that if people are talking about Shakti, they mean the strength within. It has got nothing to do with the man versus woman war. It has everything to do with evoking the power and the potential within yourself and setting your convictions on fire to change the world. That is when you believe that this is not just another let us do something for Dashera at Bhagwanpur kind of a geek. It has got more meaning. It has got more relevance. And above all, it bespeaks a promise to abide by certain thoughts and convictions that we have, however contrary they may be to certain realities. But if the seeds are sown at the right time and at the right stage, I'm sure that we will grow saplings and we will grow forests of positivity, where a woman will not have to think twice without, about stepping out of her house at 10:30 in the night to run an errand, and where a man will not judge a woman if she steps out of the house at 10:30, or where a 6-year-old boy is not sent to accompany his sister just because he's a man and she needs protection. That is how you and I will become men and women of tomorrow. And I suppose that is the true victory of good over evil. So thank you for telling me that you have one foot in history and you have strong roots and beliefs in what has come to you, and that helps you to carve out a future which is better for all yourselves. And I would like to say to the gentlemen who are attending this event today, to all the boys, whatever you may become tomorrow, do not join the fight for domination and subjugation. Fight for equality as individuals. The gender war is over. It's passe. If we want to talk about a new India, we have to think like a new Indian. We cannot keep on harping over that which has gone by. And thank you for giving me the hope that someday the statistics that I quoted to you may be changed for the better. Jai Hind, take care, stay strong, all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are indeed blessed by your words.